Hello everybody and welcome to another list video here at Playing Board Games. And today we got a little bit of a doozy for all of you. A few months ago we did the most underrated card from each cycle. And today we're going to do the most overrated card from each cycle. And if your jimmies are rustled, you know, maybe you got to do some self-reflection, right? That's whenever I feel my jimmy's getting rustled, I look in the mirror and then I say, no, they're wrong, I'm right. So we're just going to keep, going through that.
Well, that's why they have to self-reflect. Like, we could be wrong.
Yeah, no, we can't. Yeah, that's like, when I'm like, wait, were we wrong with our choices? No, they're wrong.
Well, they only have one opinion. We have three.
It's true. And this actually is the opinion of all three of us.
Yes.
Which is actually, like, a lot more chill than it sounds, because we're just like, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go in. We have one from each cycle, and the first one we're going to talk about here is Lucky. Oh, did I forget to do the sponsor read? Yeah. Huge thank you to Bear Paws for supporting the channel. If you want a treat that can't be beat, go buy a Bear Paw. All right, we're starting off here with Lucky from the core set. So, Lucky, one cost event. If you would fail a skill test, get +2 to the skill test.
Just don't fail.
Just don't fail.
This card used to be really, really good and really important when Survivor's cards were a lot worse and they didn't have the ways to boost their skills that they do now, where you would just show up to a test and, like, it was actually kind of a coin flip. Or you were, like, testing every turn with Duke, you know, 4 to whatever, or, you know, you had Wendy, who's had, like, 3 book, and, you know, you weren't punching anything with her. And then what did we get next? We had York. York, yeah, and he was like a 4-fight investigator. But yeah, now you just have options to, like, make your stats good enough to just pass tests normally.
Yeah.
And Lucky level 3 is still a really, really good card. Like, really good. But Lucky level 0 is just...
Yeah, it's not the auto-include that...
Yeah.
And that's...
Some say that it might be.
That's also kind of why, like, we had a hard time with the core set too, because, like, a lot of the core set cards are just, like, pretty rated.
Pretty good, too.
And, like, yeah, Lucky in itself is still actually, like, a good card, and if you are running it in, like, a flex deck, I think it's really nice, right? But if you're a designated clover or a designated fighter, it doesn't really have the same impact that it used to.
Like,
right?
if you're a designated fighter, it's a nice safety net.
Yeah.
Where you can go into a test and you're like, no, I don't actually need to get up 5. If I'm up 3, I can just Lucky through it if I get one of the bad tokens. But yeah, like, outside of that, you can probably just do better things.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, make your number gooder.
Make your number gooder. It's very easy to make your number gooder in the game now. Very easy for that. All right, next one here, we're going on to Dunwich, and we have Delve Too Deep. Bryn, I'll let you start with this one, because this one was your suggestion.
Yeah.
Bryn's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
I don't know why this is on the list. This card's awesome.
Just entrapment.
If you're the Arkham cops, you have to tell me. Yeah, no, I just think this card is, like, not the auto-include that some parts of the internet seem to think it is. Maybe I'm wrong. But usually I'm trying to have my deck functional around, like, 10 XP. And everything after that is good. Like, it's just gravy. I don't really need to draw extra encounter cards and imperil my chances of success. Or, you know, risk extra trauma for a point of XP. I'll happily risk a point of Travis's trauma for extra XP. Because that's not mine.
I'll take trauma for XP all day.
But, yeah, I think it's just, like, I mean, it's good, but it's not as good.
I mean, I think that's actually true for most of the stuff we have on this list. Like, these cards are still good, it's just that they, we thought they were, like, viewed as too good.
Yeah, there's something to be said for, like, the opportunity cost of this card, where it costs you a resource on the card itself, and then however long you draw it, and you, like, hold it in your hand till the last round of the scenario. Where, like, if that was a different card that you drew 6 turns ago or whatever, and wasn't just clogging up your hand, you could have used it to get more of the victory in the scenario.
Be more active.
Yeah, and obviously, like, in some campaigns, like Dunwich, in particular, because in the new ones they kind of hand out, like, victory like it's candy. It's just... It's a weird scenario if you end it and you didn't have a chance at, like, 5 to 7.
Yeah, like, that's what I was going to say, that I think this one is definitely also very dependent on the cycle that you're playing. Dunwich Carcosa And oddly enough, I think Scarlet Keys are where I think Delve Too Deep is like there's a good reason to play them. But then otherwise, it's like I would rather have a card that does more. And also, like, in the thick of it, I think we can all agree is kind of like bordering, if not a mistake for a card design.
Yeah.
Because it kind of just what does Delve Too Deep without having to like take a slot in your
Yeah.
deck. You know,
Yeah,
for
without
three,
the downsides.
if everyone runs a Delve Too Deep, oh sorry, and in the thick of it, you basically played 3 Delve Too Deeps for
Yep.
free.
Yeah, there's something to be said, like, as well, when you're looking at... So, like, the reasons you would play this to get more... The situations you want the extra victory are either, like, you're not doing well enough in scenarios, so you need to get the extra victory, or you want more victory than what you could possibly get. And if your deck is already clearing all the victory in scenarios, then, like, do you really need the bonus XP to make it good?
Yeah, because you're actually like doing your deck's like doing it.
And if your deck sucks and you're not able to clear the scenario, like, maybe you should just play cards that make your deck better, and then allow you to get those victory, and also not get the negative repercussions of failing the scenario or whatever. There's also, like, you should play this if you're trying to get to, like, a specific build that you need specific leveled cards for and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But-
a lot of this is also coming from the scope of a full collection because we even seen in our limited collection that we're doing through Forgotten Age, Travis is taking advantage of Delve Too Deep really well
Yeah, 'cause
because
our
our
decks
decks suck, right? It's like that kind of thing. With a smaller
Yeah, we
collection, Delve Too Deep goes up in value.
We do need them to be better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing it because I can't play Arcane Research.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we're going to Carcosa with the Lupara. So, Travis, I'll let you do this one.
Yeah, I see this in, like, a fair number of decks where people are like, oh, this is my... Look, I don't think that this card is worth the 3 experience and the 3 resources for the 2 shots, kind of what it comes down to.
Travis is mistaken about that, but that's okay.
Like, it's definitely not bad. You know, 2 shot, it's worth like 6 damage. But I think that in a lot of cases there are better things to be doing with your... Better and more consistent things you can be doing with your hand slots and with your experience and resources these days in green. Especially in terms of killing monsters. Still pretty good with Sleight of Hand, but that's kind of like the only place I'd really want to play it. I still feel kind of bad about like paying the money for this. I feel less bad if it was fast, but it's like...
Oh, but it's illicit, so it could be if you play a different bad card.
Yeah, I mean, I just... yeah, I think this card is like, it belongs in Sleight of Hand decks, and that's exactly it. So...
Yeah, that's kind of like the thing where when we were doing this, Bryn, you were like, this is an event, not an
Yeah,
asset.
It's more of an event that does either 6 damage or 3 damage now and 2 damage later.
Yeah.
It's,
There's the new card in Hemlock Vale, the double, that lets you search your deck for an illicit item, put it into play, and take an action on it without paying its cost.
That might be nice.
That could be fun with the Lupara.
it could
But
be.
yeah, I agree. Like, this is not something that you want to be using to be like, hey, I'm the goon. I have this to deal with like enemies.
Yeah.
This is like, this is what you bring in to kill a boss. This is like a boss killer.
Yeah, this isn't 3 damage now and 3 later. It's 3 damage now and 2 later.
Yeah.
It's 3 damage now and 3 damage also now? Sometimes?
3 damage now sometimes.
No, I mean, you have to pass the test, don't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, if you use both shots this turn, it's 3 damage.
Yeah.
But if you play it, you shoot it once, and then, like, you shoot an enemy on a later turn, it's
Oh,
only
yeah.
2 damage.
I mean, I think if you...
That's what I said, isn't it? Like, it's 3 damage.
I thought you said 3 damage now and 3 damage later.
3 damage now and 2 damage later, or like 6 damage now.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said 3 and 3.
Yeah.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
That's fine.
But yeah, but basically you want to be using both shots when you play it and cheat it. It's really fun, but it is like a combo piece. It's not...
It's also worth knowing, like, if
Yeah.
you're just playing it, like, that's your... So, like, you play it and you shoot it twice, that's 6 damage for your 3 actions. You could just, like, have a switchblade or
You're-
whatever and stab them 3 times and still have your switchblade instead of an empty gun.
You're green.
Yeah.
So those actions are valueless. You can just get, like, people just throw them away.
Okay, but if
could
you're playing, like, so you're Tony Morgan or
Fine,
whatever,
Morgan.
you can just sit there with your switchblade and every action is worth 2... You have a baseline of your 3 actions being worth 6 damage, and every additional action is worth an additional 2. But if you're playing Lupara as your weapon,
Well, it's-
then you have 3 actions and they're worth 6 damage, and each action after that is worth no damage, or 1 damage if you
So
punch
in,
them.
in this
but-
comparison, Switchblade 2 is like the Switchblade 0.
Yeah,
Because you don't get that +2, because we're, like, assuming we're going to get the extra damage.
yeah, that's not hard, though.
Yeah, this gives you +2. So that's like +4 in difference. Yeah, it is.
It's not.
Yep. Probably.
No.
Yep.
I got lost on the numbers. I got lost in the numbers
+2.
there.
Yeah, but you get to do it twice, Travis. Yeah, I think this one
If
is
you
like
want to go down that road, you have to figure out like how likely you are to fail, because then this is worth 0 damage, or like how likely you are to succeed by not to, in which case you still get damage out of the switchblade. You know?
yeah, but it's less than 6 damage.
Like, yeah.
I think the Switchblade 2 is much more likely to be like 5 damage out of 3 actions.
I mean, that's fair, but at the end of it, you still have your switchblade, and it also
Yeah,
costs
you still have the gun.
You still
You
have your-
technically do still have the gun.
you can still use the switchblade for like
Yeah,
meaningful
yeah,
things.
you have it for next turn.
And
Yeah.
it costs you less experience
Yeah.
and less actions and less money.
Yeah, no, I think like this one is much more of a bit player than perhaps some would have you believe. Like when you can cheat it into play, or if you're playing some sort of a one-handed melee build, like maybe you have a Switchblade 2, and you're like, this is how I kill most guys, but if they've got lots of hit points, I kill them with this.
Yeah, I think
If
it's
they got
still
lots
like
of hit points and a big fight number, I kill them with this.
No, we just stab them with the switchblade a lot.
that is what that is I know it happened a lot.
That is how Tony Morgan do.
Yeah. But I agree with just the original sentiment too, of just that this is like a combo weapon, and like
Yeah.
that's where it lives. But beyond that, if someone brings this to kill enemies with, I'm like, uh-oh. Right? Because I mean, the only time I've seen Bryn play it, it's in the combo, right? Because that's where like this card sings, right?
I think I've played like a small guns Tony Morgan deck that was playing like one of these.
Was that the one where
they
you
can only do like 2 damage?
Yeah. And is that the one you were with Joey the Rat too? Well, I think Joey the Rat.
Joey the Rat
but
was
this, we're just
Joey-
describing
yeah.
combos,
Yeah,
right? Like it's
yeah.
just like
Like,
everything that's like,
There's cards that can make this good, like all the time.
yeah.
But
That requires more cards, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the next card,
The
Justin?
next card is Well Prepared.
this guy's not well prepared at all. He's shaving in a suit.
I will say we do have an honorable mention for this round. We never do this. This is the first time. We have an honorable mention to Flamethrower for this one. But we're not here to talk about Flamethrower. We're here to talk about Well Prepared. Travis, this was your entry, so why don't you take it?
Yeah, this card's like kind of bad. It just, like we talked about with Paralyze, it's fun to play with, don't get me wrong, but it's just like really inefficient in what it does compared to a lot of other options. It's 2 to play and 2 experience, and yeah, you like need to have another asset with real stats on it, because honestly, if you're using this to get +1 to a stat every turn, like you should be playing something different. You could have done a lot better with your 2 experience and your card.
I mean, I'll be honest. If you asked me an hour ago what I thought of Well Prepared, I'd be like, that's a good card. But I actually now think the card is not fine to bad, because
Like you can get away with like a mid-experience weapon that has like 2 symbols on it, which is fine. But if you're trying to get like 3 or like if you're trying to get like 3 symbols out of it, you're gonna be looking at like a 4 or 5 experience card probably that needs to sit and play.
Or like-
alternatively, like your investigator's signature.
Signature, yes,
Which
that-
is probably like if you've got the signature in play, things are great already.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
It's also like difficult to build around because Guardian has garbage card draw, and this is a talent, so you can't search it out with like anything except for friends in low places. I think so. Very difficult to find and consistently to like actually play around it. And then most things that have double symbols aren't very flexible in what they have. So again, if you want to have any sort of flexibility in that, if you're just using this for like 2 punch symbols every turn, that's fine. But again, you could like do better.
Yeah, the Wolf Mask. It's like, just if you want 2 punch symbols,
Yeah, those,
just grab Wolf Mask.
This is Justin's point that Hemlock Veils masks outclass this on most levels.
Yeah, and like if you want the versatility, you need like a lot of different pieces in play, and we're now looking at like
You want to get +2 to like your brain stat and to your fist stat. That's like, realistically, you need to have like 2 to 3-ish experience assets in play
Yeah.
in addition to this one.
yeah, and like that's really cool and like really fun. But I mean, like I think I overrated this card. However, it is really like fun and it paints good pictures when you get like your 4 wilds and you're like, yes, 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 you know.
Oh, yeah, I had a lot of fun with that Diana deck.
Yeah, but like at the same time, I think I definitely this was an awakening for me for this one. Yeah. Because even like in the case, I was just playing Zoe yesterday, and her cross has 3 fist icons on it. But like at that point now, I don't really need those 3 fist icons, right?
Yeah.
I can find it in other ways that also help me when the game is supposed to just help me not fail tests.
Unless you're doing something weird like playing a shotgun deck.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
what have you, where suddenly those 3 fist symbols are worth like a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But also you're playing a shotgun deck, so.
yeah.
You
know the help you can get.
Well, I mean, and even in and of itself, the shotgun deck actually got like a new great piece with the new cleaning tools or whatever it is, where you can spend ammo and get +2 off of that. Like it's just like even that now is just like well prepared is like thinking like, but what about me? What about me? I used to be that guy.
Yeah, like in your Zoe deck, like how often did that +3 from the well prepared mattered?
Oh, I never used well prepared. It never would have mattered.
Oh, okay.
Because I was playing Wolf Mask.
Oh yeah, okay. yeah, like that 2 experience that could just been Vicious Blow 2. Which
Exactly.
would have been,
Yep. Or just even like an upgraded B cop, right?
Yeah.
Which is like gonna do what this does most of the time, but also get damage on top of it.
becomes like a little bit more difficult of a comparison because it actually takes up an ally slot and
That's
stuff
true.
like that. But
That's true. That's fair.
this is slotless, which is one of the big things it has going for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, where are we on to next? Circle Undone, which is this one's gonna be spicy. Hallowed Mirror. Travis, take it away again,
Okay.
because this was also yours.
Yeah, no, I think that I generally think cards are worse than other people do or than they are. So
That is true.
yeah, this card, good preface this card is good. But I have anecdotally seen people who say that they play this in all of their Guardian decks. It's a staple for them. You know, it's a card that you need a reason not to play rather than a reason to play. I think that's just not true. I think the card is clunky. I think the card is most like not great healing now. It was like probably the best option when Circle Undone came out. But especially Edge of the Earth brought a lot of much stronger healing options.
I mean, it fucking had to.
Yeah. And Guardian has just like incredible soak anyway. And they got more incredible soak from Scarlet Keys, further devaluing the healing. Yeah, so like my biggest argument for it was like this card, the healing on this is mostly relevant when you're just like you have actions to kind of throw away, right? So if you're getting bogged down, attacked by enemies, you're not going to have actions to play Soothing Melody. You need to be spending your time killing enemies because you're a Guardian. That's the only thing their card pool lets them do well. Unless you're Carolyn, I guess. But
Or Carson, you don't even get to kill enemies good.
you can. Anyway, so yeah, if you're spending all your actions, if you have spare actions, you're not taking attacks from the enemies. You're not buried under them, and then this card's like good, I guess. But also you're not taking attacks, so you're taking less damage and horror unless it's from treacheries. Wouldn't you rather just be playing like a card that makes you not die to the treacheries, kind of?
No, I prefer dying.
Oh yeah.
I know.
But I mean, like, yeah, it's true. Right? Like, cause I mean, like, there's a lot of time where I see online even where people are like, I'm bored as a Guardian. There's like no enemies. I'm like, well, you should just be like setting up for that boss fight, baby. Like just doing that, or like, you know, like.
Have you tried drawing cards?
Yeah, it's like one of those things. It's like the same kind of thing with this, right? Like you could be healing, yes, and like again, I'm coming with this from the perspective of arguing that this card is overrated because I do think Hallowed Mirror is a good card, but this whole video is like coming in with the perspective as if the card was
It's good.
overrated,
It's not
right?
that good though.
But like at this point now, like if I had to choose between like in a certain deck playing a Hallowed Mirror or getting like a Tetsuo out, for example, or even just getting like some other generic soak onto the table that I can use in other ways, it's nicer. I think there's cases where you can definitely find a use for Hallowed Mirror, but I also think that the idea of just this in every Guardian deck is probably the incorrect choice because there's the accessory slot is nice,
too, right? Like
it is slow.
It's too. I mean. There was less good Guardian accessories when this came out.
Yeah,
there are
Wish
many more
Eater was
options
still
now.
one of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can start with Wish Eater in your deck, but
Yeah, you can.
you couldn't at the time.
Well, you still could. You always could.
Yeah, we can make our own
What are
rules.
the Arkham cops?
Can we
gonna
just start with
show
9
up?
experience next campaign? And, like, no, we don't. If anyone brings it up, we just don't say anything.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, no, you like have to play it first, and then you also have to like spend an
2
action
actions.
to like heal.
And like, yeah, it replaces itself. Like, I know people are saying in the comments, like, this replaces itself. But like, even like in that 2 actions to heal and then replace itself, you're like, should I run?
And $2, dude. That's
And
so
$2,
expensive
right?
For Guardian.
Like, just like if you're looking at like healing your damage, right, in your downtime as your guardian, a card that I think is pretty comparable to this is like Second Wind, right? Which doesn't cost you anything. You just draw your treachery, you heal 2 damage. It's your downtime anyway, and it replaces itself, right? So like, I think this is kind of like where the next level of deck building comes up, where it's like, instead of relying on the Hallowed Mirror that I've always used in the past, what is an alternative that fits a similar spot that might be more beneficial in my deck? And I think that's where like kind of like seeing where this can come from, or the idea that why this card might be overrated can live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be like, I could like heal my guard dog or my beat cop or whatever, but you can also just like play more copies of those.
Yeah, just let them do their job and then get a new one.
Yeah, like how many times does your guard dog... Man, if you need your guard dog to get attacked like 12 times in a scenario, like...
Well, Travis knows, he's been there.
Yeah, you need a better plan. It's not good enough.
I don't know what you're talking about. You never like calling in favors a guard dog into a guard dog.
No, I didn't have that in my card pool, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love it. It was like, so, because for set the scene, this is not a Patreon exclusive. It was in Forgotten Age, we had so much treachery, so much vengeance.
Yeah, we were full vengeance.
And it was like, the enemies who scale with vengeance had like 8 attack, and Travis was like, the dogs are just going to kill them.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't get that high. I have like Colts.
Yeah, it was a good time. So, even then, just, if that's your plan, you might need to think, how can I make this plan better?
Yeah.
All right.
Dream Eaters.
Next up, we got, I can talk about this one
This one
first.
is you, yes.
So, stargazing. I always say that I know this card is bad, but I like playing it because, it's stupid and fun. This is coming in from even my own perspective, and I've seen a lot of people say they love this card because it's like a ward of
feels
protection.
good.
It's like a ward of protection that's in the future, but it also gives an action and a resource and a card, which is like 3 actions. That's incredible. But this card is like, how many times where just like think about it. You play this card a lot, and you're going to remember the times where like, oh, I used the action to kill the ghoul that someone else drew, and it was great. But how many times is it just, oh, I guess I'll get a resource?
Every time in our current campaign, you're like, oh, I just stargazing, and we're been our mired enemies, and we're like, so you gonna do anything? You're like,
or that one time when I even like, just a whole thing just goes cascading from it.
I'll do a test autofill, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like, yes, the idea of canceling a card from the Mythos deck is exciting and powerful. But may I propose you go and open up your core set, look in the Mystic section. There's one that's actually already in there and is completely active, as opposed to just like, being like something you have to wait for when it comes. Because this requires like, and you can even say, oh, but you get an action back. But it costs an action to put into the deck, and then you shuffle it in the top 10. You're like, I'm feeling killer. And then the game is like, I'm going to take the discard pile and shuffle it into the deck. And then you don't even see it. You don't even see the stars are right that come with it.
Discard until you hit an Omen treachery.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the action you get from this isn't even an action. Like you're just paying. It's just refunding the action you used to play it. You know, you're only getting a card and a resource from it, really.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I did when I pulled it out Forgotten Age, I was like, this card's bad, Travis, but we're gonna run it back, and I regret it.
Fine.
I regret it.
I don't. I think it's funny.
Perfect. That's great then. But I think this one was easily for me,
Yeah.
the most overrated from Dream Eaters. I think, Braden, you even pointed to it too when we were scrolling
Yeah,
by.
mostly just because Justin likes the stupid Tom Bombadil kind of effects.
I
where
do.
You shuffle the guys into the treachery deck, and you're like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, this can just change everything. It can just change it
change
all.
the face of the game, or
Yep.
it could do
Nothing.
nothing.
Oh, it did nothing? Fuck.
Surprised you don't like the dilemmas more then.
I
They're
hate
similar
dilemmas.
to that.
No,
You don't,
I
you don't get to actively
if
shuffle
the
them.
dilemmas were in the Mythos deck, now we're talking.
Okay.
Actually, probably not still. I unironically like them, where I'm like, ironically.
That'd be kind of neat, actually. Their dilemmas, you shuffle them to the Mythos deck, but they had Surge.
Yeah.
And Peril. They should
Yeah,
have.
they should have
have
Peril.
Yeah, that
Peril.
too. But
Yeah. All right. We're going on to Innsmouth, which is Goose. So
A goose.
It should cost 4 experience to put into your deck.
it's a pact. It costs an action to play, and you can only run one of them. And like, yes, dark horsing, which is the shorthand term that we're using to discuss putting all your stats up by 1.
Right now, yep.
Is
Today.
like
It's not something
this is
we've
the
used
first
in the
time.
past, but
Nope.
that's what we're doing
That's
now.
what, this is how trends start, right? Goose is just dark horse. How many warded protections is it? That's a great question. But getting all your stats increased by 1 is, when you look at it just like face down, you're like, this is really cool. But then, as you were saying, when we do this, like, what do you get? How many of these stats are you actually actively using? And that's kind of like the problem with just like a blanket +1 across the board for a good chunk of characters.
Yeah, it's nice, but like bumping your brain up to 2 or 3 isn't gonna make a difference most of the time. Bumping your foot up to like 3 or 4, you're probably still not using it unless you were planning to. And then
Yeah, that hurt.
you're probably not using it, like between your book and your fist, there's probably one you're not using, right?
Yeah. And then, like, you might argue...
And if you are using it, the +1 probably doesn't
Yeah.
matter for the 4 experience.
And then you might argue with this, like, but hey, now that I'm at, like, 3 book, I can get clues off One Shroud locations.
Yeah,
You know, I'm like, that's, like,
that's great.
yeah, right?
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, like the +1 brain is a lot more relevant in green than it feels like, because it puts you up to 2, which gives you a fighting chance with a way to increase your brain to actually pass the usually brain 3 tests that the game asks you to.
Yeah.
However, if you don't have a different plan already in place to try to pass those tests, that +1 isn't going to matter.
Yeah, and I guess also, like, going on this as well, it's like, depending on, like, a common way that Bryn is a rogue, but that rogues pass their brain tests is by, like, for example, committing a card, like, I don't know, Savant. But with Goose, that's one of the options that it takes away from you, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why you just say you won't draw cards.
Yeah, and then, you know, and then you're just
then
now,
you
like,
run
then
out
you
of
just
cards.
slowly run out of resources, and you're like, well, I have all these stats, but I'll just load it up with curses. I mean, like, it's easy to break the pact, right? It's very easy to break it. And you might be able to take advantage of it. But at the same time, it just feels like, I think this is one that, I mean, I don't know if you have ever played it at the table.
No.
But I mean, like, I've played it, Bryn's played it, and it, like, it was good in those decks, but was it worth 4 experience, a card slot, and 2 resources?
Probably.
It's very much,
It had to be.
it's very much a
Otherwise,
card
it wouldn't
that,
be. It wouldn't cost 4 XP.
it's very much a card that you put in your deck 'cause you're like, yeah, why not? Like, you can't rely on having it. It's, you have no way to dig it out. Rogue's card draw isn't, like, spectacular in
Plus,
most
you
cases.
probably don't want to be playing good card draw because you don't want to be drawing cards during
Yeah,
your turn. 'Cause
or
that's the
committing-
easy one to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's that or like commit.
Yeah.
I mean, like play. You could choose not to play depending on who
That'd be a
you
weird
are.
deck.
But yeah, things
Cool.
have gotten real strange.
Yeah.
I think this card is like
Like, maybe Winifred?
Yeah.
Winifred could
Some
be
kind of, like, flex Winnie deck who doesn't play cards.
Yeah, you have, like, 3 assets you play, and Goose is one of them, right? So you just, like, get your stuff out, your thing that you hit with, your thing that you clue with, and just go nuts.
Yep. It's my
you
switch
can
blade, my
do-
lockpicks, let's go.
Yeah, you can like still commit cards to other people's
Yeah.
tests if you say you won't commit.
Honestly, that seems like a bit of an oversight. To
I
me.
mean, I mean,
Because it says during your turn.
yeah, I also feel like
I
that's
know.
one of those things
Yeah.
that it's gonna end up the wires getting crossed. You're just gonna be like, yeah, I can commit cards, and suddenly you're like, wait a minute, the pack is broken, and that's my issue. I mean, like, I don't think I've ever broken the pact when I was playing with you guys with it. But, like, when I'm playing two-handed and I'm trying to stream and talk to chat and, you know, be entertaining, suddenly I forget that I can't play cards. Even if I write on it, do not commit cards. Suddenly I'm like, oh, I have this brain test I got to take. I'll just commit a card to it. And then
Well, it's a
everyone's
very
like,
different environment because if you break on the stream, it's like, you broke it, you idiot, and then you have to destroy it because it makes for good content. But if you're playing Brand and I, we're just like, just don't do that.
Yeah, you guys just don't point it out.
Like, yeah, are you sure you want to do that? And you're like, oh, no, I'm not.
Fuck right. The goose.
Yeah, I think this card is like uniquely good in Dexter because if you want to do the thing that you said you wouldn't, you can just throw it away.
Yeah, it's also very easy to not commit cards in Dexter.
Yes. Yeah.
That's super easy.
It is like real easy, especially when your numbers are like
Until you're sweating.
you're, like,
Until you're
like,
sweating when you're holding a promise of power. You're like,
yeah.
You just give it to someone else because, you know.
No, you can't do that. You got to get your brain up to 10.
You do.
During your turn thing, feels like they stuck it on there so you don't break it during the upkeep phase every time you draw a card.
Yeah.
Then the other parts of it, and then they just didn't think too hard about it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, like, overall, Innsmouth, there was a lot of just cards that I mean, like, I don't think Goose is, like, unplayable, right? I don't even think it's, like, necessarily bad, but I think the Overrated is fair for it. But I think Innsmouth has a pretty good cycle, all in all.
Yeah.
And the bad cards are noticeably bad. Flew to the Outer Gods,
Yeah,
you know?
You ready to play a Flute of the Outer Gods deck where we break this to put the 10 curses?
I've already played Flute twice, and I got 10 on it each time. I don't need it. I've done it. I'm free, Britt. I'm free.
Justin, what's the next one?
All right, we're going on to Edge of the Earth, and this one also has an honorable mention. It's Sled Dog.
Fuck.
Honorable mention is going to Geared Up for this one, for Overrated card from the cycle.
Yeah.
Sled Dog.
It's bad.
I don't see what's so bad about it. This is like the supreme fighting and movement tool that the game offers. All you need is 3 cards and 9 money. And you can do anything. The game is your oyster as long as you don't have to do more than 3 damage in a single action. Because then you need a 4th card and 12 money, but otherwise it's unbeatable.
It's a very good argument, Brent. I don't need to make him like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, he did it.
He convinced you. Wow.
No, that was...
Oh, I see. You
Yeah,
were
I know.
turning. You were Uno reversing him.
Yeah.
So
Draw 4 sled dogs.
Yeah, you just have to draw your 4 sled dogs.
Sorry, that was my Uno card. It made you draw 4 sled dogs.
he gave you sled dogs. Yeah, you have to do sled dogs sometime soon, Travis.
I'm not going to.
What if we ask nicely?
You have to. Actually,
3
the WotC
times?
cops sent me a email that said if we don't, then we have to pay them $100 in iTunes gift cards.
Pretty good on that.
So the problem with sled dogs is that it's a joke card that I feel just like
Sorry,
we're.
Fantasy Flight Cops, not the WotC cops.
No, it's the
They're
WotC cops too,
totally
yeah.
different. Yeah,
That's
how I know it. That's how I knew it was a scam.
Yeah, we're the Watts. Please calling you about fantasy flight games. Arkham. You're like, wait a minute.
Hang on.
The problem with sled
Too
dog
many groups of cops to keep track of.
is that it's a meme card that is at this point now taken too seriously, right?
How can you not take him seriously? Look, he's so fucking cute.
So I'll go again.
Sorry, did you want to explain to me how this is the Apex thing again, and just like listen to what you're saying?
Yeah.
No, I don't listen when I talk.
That makes sense.
So if we actually strip this down, going away from all this, like all the resources that you need to put in to do these dogs, because like the soak they give you is awesome on top of it, all this stuff. However, let's just say, for example, your dream is to get out 4 sled dogs. You're like, this is what I'm going to be doing. Suddenly, the game, because the game is all about disrupting plans, makes you discard a sled dog, maybe from hand, maybe from play, maybe from the top of your deck. You're like, that's okay, I can still get 3 sled dogs out here. Suddenly, now you're like, it loses another one, and you're like, fuck, 2? 2 is not enough. I might need to, in my deck building, bring some weapons to counteract in case this happens. And then suddenly you're like...
just don't.
Yeah, and then suddenly you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
You just versatile in your like quantum flux and shuffle them.
Oh,
back.
let's
Yeah,
go.
It's easy. It's easy. You
It's
got
also really nice when they like, when the game's killed 2 of your sled dogs or whatever, and you sit there and you stare at your charisma, and you're like, I wasted 3 experience.
Yeah. I think that sled dog decks are fun to watch once. Right, like I'm loving watching Bryn put together his dogs, and then suddenly be like, "Shit, my dogs are dead because my stick is now a snake." And I had fun playing it recently when I was playing it in my Leo deck because Leo and allies, they go hand in hand. But it's one of those things that just like it's a joke card that I feel like we're still getting told jokes about, and I wanted to stop. I don't want to.
Every
Can't
multiplayer thing I've played, there's someone on the channel's like, I'm going to bring a sled dog deck. I'm just like, your group's going to do nothing.
You also bring a sled dog deck then.
I could.
Should we do a standalone where we each build a sled dog deck?
I don't really want to.
Oh.
I don't want to play sled
Okay,
dogs.
but like,
They're bad.
what if we attempt to?
That was ask number 2. I have one more coming.
What if we attempt to assemble like some sort of fully armed and operational doggo station that can like destroy an entire planet or do like 8 or 12 damage in an attack?
Some kind of like mecha person. where everybody moves together. One person gets all the sled dogs, and you're like, I'll move 12 times. Other two
Yeah.
people are like, I'll
Yeah,
use
yeah.
my safeguard to come with you.
The only time I like sled dog is when it inevitably happens because there's no enemies, and then they exhaust all four of their dogs and just go in a circle. I'm like, I'm really happy for you. You did it. You moved.
I'm glad you spent your turn doing that instead of recouping the 4 actions and 12 resources and 4 cards you spent on this shit.
If you're Leo, it's so much better.
Like, you spend so much, and then it is so much better, but, like, you get you have 4 damage attack, right?
Yeah.
And you're probably going to succeed for 1 action, and then you get nothing for your other 2 actions. So you're capped at 4 damage a turn. You can just play Machete and be capped at 6 damage a turn.
Yeah, but that costs all my actions, Travis.
We just went over, your entire deck is full of garbage to put together your 4 sled dogs. You don't have anything to do with your other 2 actions.
I can basic fight. Or pass.
Ooh, that's the strongest action in the game.
You could pass, yes.
Yeah. But I mean, like, that's the thing, right? Like, once you're done with your sled dogs, what are you doing to fight? If the thing's there,
Did
like...
you bring a gun? Like, just bring more guns instead of the sled dogs, man.
Fucking hype as shit.
I do love that in our Forgotten Age run, it started with me theory crafting. I was like, the fucking Rita sled dog deck that I almost built. And then I'm glad Bryn carried that torch into the Lily sled dog.
We can't kill enemies.
No, it's been very fun.
Do you not see
It's
how
been super
they're
enjoyable.
all dead and we're not?
Not yet. Barely.
No, we're going to win this one. We're going to win it.
Perfect secret ending.
No,
That's us.
we've already passed that.
I do love every time, though, when you keep just being like, can you please, like, what about that Cyclopean hammer? Or that runic axe that you have in your card pool? What about those?
Yeah,
You're just, like, desperately trying to tell Bryn, like, just
I'm
put
sitting
them
there, like, I'm engaged with 3 health enemy, you're engaged with 3 health enemy, Bird's engaged with a 3 health enemy, and a 5 health enemy, and I'm like...
Yeah, you're right. I should buy some dynamite.
Bird's like, I'll attack with my dogs, and I'm -5, fuck. Okay, I guess I'll basic punch this 5 health enemy twice.
But no, that's when guard dog comes in to save the day. The guard dog plan never fails.
No, he auto-failed. He got drew -5 on his guard dog. He failed the test.
No,
Yeah,
not sled dog. Guard dog.
Oh, guard dog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's when
sorry.
guard dog comes in. Yeah. All right, let's go to our last card here from Scarlet Keys, and we got Keimani Jones. So, Keimani, I think, is a pretty good goon. But I think that there are some people out there who think Keimani Jones is like Apex goon, and I think that's still Tony Morgan. And I think that's just what it comes down to it for me.
Like Leo Anderson is a better group.
You don't have to present it as your opinion if it's the truth.
I mean, it's going back to me looking in the mirror and being like, yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, I think that Keimani Jones has their time where they are good, but there are just, like, more consistent, better goons out there without having to, like, you know, it's like one of those things where, like, Keimani Jones is really good once they get their Stealth 3 in play, right? I'm like, cool. That's like it's a big piece to get in to get your deck to go out there moving. Or you need like to get action positive out of there. What I'm hearing is just that there's a lot of tools needed. And then you're still going to need to be grabbing like weapons and stuff on top of that to get to that point to deal with elite enemies. Because when Keimani sees an elite enemy, Keimani suddenly is like, oh no, egads, I am undone. You know?
They're gonna like. There's a lot. They can deal with non-elite enemies very efficiently. That's fair. But like they still need tools to deal with the elite enemies. In which case, like you could just play someone like Tony who's good at fighting and deal with the elite enemies and the non-elite enemies with the same tools and more efficiently because you don't have to split your resources between the two tools.
Yeah. So like I
but you play
I imagine
how does it go?
a lot of the viewers are American and not as familiar with hockey terminology as we are. But the reason that we started in the like way back in the beginning, like Arkham 2nd Edition days, calling the person who dealt with monsters a goon is because they didn't do a goddamn other thing. There used to be a player on the team who was a goon. What he did was not play hockey. He was not good at that. He was big and muscly and could punch other guys while standing on skates. That's what he did.
Yeah, he fought people.
This guy's trying to play like some sort of skill game too. Like that's not you don't do that. We're not here to like show off how fast we are. We're here to go out there and beat the crap out of some other guy on the other team.
Yeah.
That's how how this works. So like as a goon, I think they're not really that great. Like Leo
Definitely fit the
Leo
archetype.
Anderson's even better, and I think Leo is
Leo Anderson,
Not
he's
great.
getting a little up there, but he definitely looks like a goon.
like
He looks like he spent his life punching
looks like
people.
that's right. Like he shows up and
He's
he's
had
like
a couple of concussions in
he's
his
like
lifetime.
I'm 39, I get paid minimum wage to play hockey, and I go out there and I'm gonna cut my knuckles on that guy's teeth. That's the game I'm playing.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's one of those things too, like on this note, even just like as the role of gooning, there's a lot of people that I see say that Keimani, yes, can handle a 2 health enemy. Like Keimani handles a 2 health enemy worse than like someone like, you know,
two whole actions though.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
showing up and playing my second dog so that I can fight a 2 health enemy.
but then they go to
Yeah.
like, but Keimani Jones is really
But
good
then
at
at least I
handling
got the
like
dogs.
a 5 health enemy compared to like
Yeah,
a
that's
goon.
fair.
But at the
That's fair.
same time, I would argue like probably actually they're quite comparable still, right?
Yeah,
because
2 actions and like probably a skill card committed, right?
yeah, or like a variety of assets that just make the stats more doable, right?
Yeah, it's also kind of like if you're at the point in the campaign where like 5 health enemies that aren't elite are kind of showing up, and there's something you need to deal with semi-regularly, you're probably pretty deep in the campaign. You know, your scenario is 6 to 8 probably. With the amount of resources that you have in your deck, like if we're being, you're not playing like some, you know, gun build where there's a real cost using your actions. Can Keimani really compete with someone just going around smacking things with a Time One brand or a Cyclopean Hammer? Like that's pretty hard to argue that
Cyclopean Hammer's
that's
pretty
more
bad,
efficient, right?
No, it's true.
It's also
right?
more flexible.
Yeah. And like Keimani obviously has their pluses, like in like Forgotten Age and all that, but I think that's one of those things that just like if you really just strip it down, I don't think that the output is enough to warrant the idea that Keimani is like top goon.
Yeah, so like at the end of the day, if the goon on my team cannot punch the goon on the other team, why are we paying him to play hockey?
Is Travis now thinking about that Lily deck?
Like, yeah, I mean that's pretty.
Okay, Lily, we brought you to fight the guys, and Lily's
Oh,
like,
dude, that
I
guy's
brought
really
guys
big.
to fight the guys. I'm like, why are you paying them? They can't
Lily,
do it
yeah,
well.
no, Lily's like, I'm playing Airbud. Airbud.
Nowhere in the rules does it say the dogs cannot play this game.
He's like, I'm paying you, you're paying them. Why am I paying you to pay them?
And middle management, Travis.
That makes a lot of sense.
Necessary for the operation of a company as long as you don't look at it too close.
All right.
I mean, it's actually necessary to some degree, but yeah. Maybe a little bit of administrative bloat there.
Are we
Yeah.
firing Bryn? Is that what you're doing right now? Am I watching you fire Bryn?
Yeah, we're kicking Brandon out of campaign.
Yeah.
We're playing the Slug Dog deck now.
No, Travis! No, please! God, no! Oh no!
So it's not code for life works, Justin.
Drew.
We fire him, we like move his workload to someone else. You don't get paid more.
I'm playing two-handed, like I'm playing like both.
No, you have to play the same. You're still playing Luke. You just have to
Just
play
like
the guard
sledge
dogs
dogs?
and also fight.
All right, I'll do it. You know, someone has to, right? And it used to be Bryn, but now
We
it's
can't
gonna
hire
be me.
someone else. No.
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 Thanks for watching, everybody. Those were what we thought were the most overrated cards from each cycle. Let us know in the comments what you think the most overrated cards are, because we would love to hear them. And maybe you'll get me Malden in the comments. It's always a great time when we get that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one, and as always, a GG.